Hi, I am Living Truthfully's answering machine and the #1 truthful answering machine, verified by the world-famous International Institute of Answering Machine. Now, the truth is, Amani Maranga and super producer are actually here. Yes, I can even see them. They told me they are avoiding someone they don't like. So, leave me a message, and if they don't call back, then it's you. Ha ha ha.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time it is, wherever you are. Welcome to episode 53 of Living Truthfully, the podcast. I'm excited that you're here with me. I'm excited that you're staying this journey with me. And I'm excited that I have one of my boys in studio with me. Already, it's such a difficult conversation, Maze, because
you can't breathe.
The guy can't be told nothing.
You're too fat, you can't breathe.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome a good old friend of mine. He's both good and old. Thomas Edwin Kwaka, better known as Big Ted. Karibu.
What's up, man? I'm a man of few words.
Sauti ya pesa ndio hiyo imeingia.
Bas, sauti ya dhahabu.
Sauti ya dhahabu. Big Ted, niaje?
I'm very fine, man. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Can see you're working out?
I am working out. I'm trying to lose my weight.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I hear you're on a seafood diet now.
Every food I
like
see, I eat.
You see, and then
you don't know all your jokes, eh?
No, that's not mine. That's yours. I just rewound it.
But you guys, you can't even be called Big Ted anymore. It's so small.
Amani, one thing guys forget is the big was never because of the size of my body. It's because of the size of my wallet. Wallet bado iko sawa. We good.
Okay, so I was bringing my friend to the podcast. What I found was something else. But it's okay. I shall claim friendship. You guy, Bana, I'm so grateful that you're finally here. Why has it taken us so long?
Well, I don't know. Probably God's timing.
God's timing.
Yeah, it's true. Just God's timing. And anything else I say is a wisecrack. It wouldn't make sense.
It's okay. Wisecracks
it's definitely God's timing.
Wisecracks are welcome here.
Yeah.
I'm doing a conversation about male friendships.
Okay.
And I don't know why I thought you might be the right person for this conversation. Are we friends?
Well, it depends with the definition of friendship. Mm-hmm. I think somebody would ask you, hey, how can you be in so much problems and yet you have so many friends? Mm. And it's a big problem that many of us who are in the public limelight always go through, whereby you have 1,000,001 people around you, but you die lonely, you go into depression, you have all these strange things which happen, and everybody goes like how could that happen to him, yet he had so many friends? So I think the first thing is the definition of friendship, or what really friendship is.
Mm-hmm. What's friendship to you?
I think a friend is somebody who you can meet after 3, 4, 5 months and just pick up from where you started and just continue like nothing happened, and you just go on with it. But also a friend is able to tell you like, you know what, you goofed. You actually messed up right there. Or somebody who's able to lead or guide you. You see, when you sit at home and you're about to make a decision, I don't know if you're like me, but I have a couple of people who, if I want to make a stupid decision, I know who to call. Like he will encourage me in the stupidity. He'll be like, my guy, let's do it. But I heard the other day one of my favorite guys speaking, and he said he has various friends. He has friends for edification. He has friends for fun. He has friends for just being friends. People who just sit to talk about nothing. He has friends for intellectuals when he wants to stimulate his mind and everything. And I think that's the same thing for me. I have friends all around, and I can carve out different areas of my life when I've just reached out and said, hey, Amani, by the way, I'm going through this particular thing. Okay? And then I'm going through this particular thing. And I think, Amani, you're David. A man after God's heart, but you like fries. So the idea is that you're able to flow. And I think your friend should be somebody who doesn't necessarily judge you. Like you're sure, even if I do something stupid and tell him I did something stupid, you don't feel like your friend will pass judgment on you. you know. So I think that's the most important thing.
I must issue a disclaimer. This guy knows so much about me.
In fact,
I don't. This is the one guy who can destroy my reputation in one.
Amani,
swoop.
which reputation? Which one? Which one?
What?
Which one?
I've a strong reputation of being a good friend. Is that true?
Amani, you're a very, very good friend. I think you're a champion friend, and one of the downsides of being that kind of person is that you have your struggles and sometimes you don't know who to share them with. One of the things and one of the, I think the purposes that God has given people like you and I is that we are peddlers of hope. I tell guys I'm not a preacher, I'm a peddler of hope. I just peddle hope. Every day in the morning when I wake up, I write, I'm like, listen, there's hope about tomorrow. Even if sometimes I'm in the same predicament. And the problem of peddlers of hope is sometimes you also need somebody else to peddle hope to you. And I think you are a big definition of a peddler of hope, but you also need hope most of the times. And you're like, okay, here I am. And I was talking to a group of men at the men's conference this year, and I told them that I bear the responsibility, God-given responsibility of talking to people about things that I'm also going through. So I'm here talking to you about how you can get out of this particular place, but I'm also in the same place. So I'm just basically saying all of us can get out. And you see, the definition of grace is basically one beggar telling another beggar where he found bread. It doesn't change that he's a beggar, but it just says that he knows where there's bread, so he's going to call his other pals, like, guys, come, let me get. I think that's what you're doing right now. Is that your stomach rumbling, Amani? You see, but you look full.
Yeah. Okay, so this is how it's going to be, guys. It's going to be like this. Ted and I have been friends for probably the last 20 years.
Yeah, 20 something.
Yeah, 20-something years.
Yeah.
And what...
Makes us old.
You're the one who's old.
Yeah, by the way, I just turned 40. So...
40,
I'm just trying to
40.
Understand. Man, you know when I was growing up and I was told somebody is 40 plus, I used to think they're old, they're about to die. My guy, I'm there now and I'm like, damn, I'm young. I've never felt younger in my life, you know.
But you've hit a good place in your life where you've sort of, some things have aligned and you've sort of understood who you are and what you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And you're no longer chasing paper, chasing fame. I mean, you want money and you're working for money to pay your bills and things, but there's more to who you are than chasing those things that we looked for those years. Yeah. What you have been to me, and I'm just thinking about it now, man, our friendship has been, you've been my peddler of hope. I remember 2000 and actually, you've done it so many times. Ted, you got me into doing events.
Yeah.
And I remember working at Village Market and you saying...
Yes, you remember. And I actually came and you were the manager at Galileo. Then I came and became the manager after you left.
The manager at Galileo's after I left. But before that, we were doing business together. You just started the main event company.
In the sitting room of the house in Hazina. And then you moved to your first SQ.
Wait first.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Let's talk about your house in Hazina before we talk about where Sodom and Gomorrah got mentorship.
No. You see, my house was a place where people would come and they would leave their bad habits. You remember the story of Blue and Hada. Anyway, let's not spoil Blues. He might want to stand for governor.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
But it's amazing.
But Amani, what's friendship to you? What's your definition of friendships? One of the things I'm seeing with very many men in our generation is that men don't have real friends because they don't have people who they can actually open up to and tell them the real dirty truth. And I'm not talking about, oh, I'm broke, or I don't have this, I'm going through that. Things like depression, you know, things that you're able to walk up to somebody and say, and for me, actually, Amani, I want to be honest and tell you that in the recent past, there are particular people who told me that day you actually went to sit with Amani because they remember that day I left home saying I'm coming to see you. They said that's the day things changed. You know, like it's a benchmark, you know, into that. And I hold you in high esteem, you know, you and your big pot, because I'm able to look at you and say that, I mean, out of everything, you still have this sense of wisdom. And it's not based on necessarily experience, but it's based on a rational thought process. And I think that rationality is what every man needs, that you have a rational pal who's not thinking of saying, okay, I'll lick your ass by telling you the truth. Oh no, I'll just be happy telling you, oh, it will work out. No. I'll go like, it might work out, but this is the flip side of this thing. Like, if it doesn't work out, this is what's going to happen, the repercussions. And then also someone being there after the repercussions to still tell you, hey, it didn't work out, we laugh about it, and then we say, okay, how do we move? How do we move forward?
I think for me, the definition of friendship, you embody it in many ways. One, you've always looked out for me.
Yeah.
I think Ted Maze, I've always felt like a small brother.
Yeah.
And sometimes you've said it.
Oxymoron there.
Small, Aki, because I'm fat.
Yeah.
Listen, Aki, when Ted lost weight, tables flipped for us.
Yeah.
I'm not fat.
Yeah.
I just have a lot of round to give.
Yeah, but Amani, watch out. You know, the problem will be if anything ever happens to you and the police have to draw a chalk line around you, they'll just draw a circle. They'll just be like,
yeah.
You're telling me something about the embodiment of friendship.
But you've looked out for me.
Yeah.
I feel like there's the seasons of my life that have been significant seasons. You've been there, and you've given me just like, it's like backup. Like, I got you in this season.
Yeah.
And I remember calling you when my daughter was born.
Yeah.
And I was still in hospital.
Yeah.
And my daughter was born. And as Ted would say, it's like this: God is revenging. He gave us both daughters, firstborns.
Yes.
I don't know why you think
It's
it
a
was
practical
revenge.
joke. God is like, let me see what you will do, you know, and everything. But Amani, let me ask you. I think let's look at it this way: that in all those things, there were still other people, but I think there has to be that definitive definition of a particular moment that makes it different. Because you see, you can be, I mean, I'll pick from the Bible and the woman with the issue of blood. There were lots of other people in that crowd who had a problem. Maybe even the disciples had a problem. But you see, the connection to Jesus is actually the real element. The fact that she was able to hook up to it. And I think let
me tell you what I think our turn was.
Yeah.
2005, I've moved back home.
Yeah.
I've gone through a tough season. I've gone through a breakup.
Yeah.
And I've moved back home. And Ted, you tell me, I've been home maybe for 3 months. What is it? Are you okay? And you tell me, come.
It's so emotional. No, I'm just clearing my eyes. Huh?
Come live with me.
Yes.
I'm starting a business.
In Hazina, yeah.
In Hazina.
Yeah.
I'm starting a business.
Yeah.
Come, let's do this together.
Yeah.
It was such a big heart moment that I feel changed what our relationship became. Before that, we were friends in the same industry, people who saw how each other could be useful to a gig or whatever it is. But that moment changed a colleague sort of moment to a friendship. It upped it up. And despite our ups and downs since, there's a brotherhood that has remained as a function of moments that then ensued from the fact that we lived in the same house. You gave me a place to sleep. You fed me your bad cooking.
Yeah.
This is why I'm fat.
Oh.
I was skinny then.
Oh. Well,
it's your fault.
I'm legendary in the kitchen in terms of the food. I think one of the things.
Paul Cookieman's
one of the
cookies.
things. Oh, I still love Paul Cookieman.
I know, but
till today.
Your house is the only place I find such cookies.
The other day I was driving through Western Province, and I stopped at Paul Cookieman's in Eldoret, and I bought, I think, a sack.
Are you serious?
Of cinnamon cookies.
Wow. Do you have some at home?
No, actually I have them in the car outside.
You'll hook a brother up.
So, but I think one of the things about certain situations is maybe it's a grace which God gives people, and you're able to say that if I was in this particular connection, and one of the things I always pray, and I say that I hope that if not for me, then for my children, that they're able to get people who will stand with them when they're going through something, people who, even when I'm alive and I'm able to sort them out, but they will find other people. They'll find other dads, other moms, other brothers and sisters who are able to stand with them. And I think that's, for me, that's the most important thing, that having people who, regardless of your situation, are able to go in. And I'm finding people around me who are and our generation is very self-centered. We're more about accumulating stuff for ourselves. While it's a good thing, I think I think the brotherhood and this brotherhood and friendship and this kind of relationship to me is like a big bowl of cookies. All right? And every cookie which is taken out, another one is added. Now, if I stay with my bowl of 20 cookies, it will never go beyond 20. But if I can be able to pass it around the whole room and it still comes back to me. Now, if the other guy does the same thing with his bowl, everybody gets fed, everybody gets housed, everybody gets an opportunity. I'm sometimes shocked that I can actually work with people with opportunity, but they don't feel like giving it out because they feel like I'm empowering this guy too much. Or and even where I work, I find that people can solve issues very quickly, but they won't. So it's almost like if I solve your issue, then you'll be ahead of me or you'll benefit somehow. So I won't give a good report about you. I won't reach out for you. So I think for me, that's what I'd want to happen. I'd want my daughters to be able to get people and somebody who is able to bail them out. Now, in my house right now, after I went through my season of pain and searching and frustration, I decided to put together a house. So I moved to some place, an apartment, and I started building the house slowly. Building, I mean putting in things, strategic things. And I always told God that my prayer was that anybody who walks into my house will find peace. And a peace that surpasses all understanding. That it doesn't matter whether you're the biggest drunkard or druggie or whatever, but there's just something that if you just walk into my house, you'll either fall asleep or you'll just be in a very peaceful place. So I buy a lot of books. I have a good entertainment area where I feel that if somebody walks in there with any sort of issue, why? Because I've gone through my seasons where people have not been there for me. Where I haven't had this environment, where I will not think and say, let me just go to Ted's place. I'm sure I'll find something there. I'm sure I'll do this. So I just think that's Amani. That's the differentiator, and the reason why I do it is simply because I'd want Amani to stand for my daughter or for somebody else who'll end up standing for my daughter or standing for my friends or my family, and then all of us there's enough to go around. There is. Yeah.
2014, we both find ourselves out of our marriages.
Okay.
Just say what you want to say. I will edit it out. And one of the things we found, and you said this, you found us, we were having a conversation with you about the pain we were going through.
Yes.
Just trying to navigate a new space for ourselves, both with children, both with broken marriages,
girlfriends.
He's talking about himself. Both of us having made some mistakes as well. Yeah. And business also not being in a great space.
Yeah.
But you are having that conversation with me as you are having it with several other people.
Yes.
And you decided to bring these people together in a WhatsApp group.
Yes.
Which ended up being a movement called Muscles.
Yes.
You have since been very deliberate about creating spaces and very intentional about creating spaces where men can actually build safe relationships, where they can speak their truth. Why do you do that? Why do you create intentional spaces for men?
First of all, Amani, I think why me and you were in a very, very bad place is because of our upbringing. We have a very solid Christian upbringing. And that informs too many things about how we deal with life and how we deal with issues, both for the good and for the bad. One of the things is that, remember, some of those things that we've gone through are not allowed in our religion or not taken as actually acceptable. Yeah. So that alone keeps you in a very, very bad place, because you can actually stay in a bad place for a very, very long time. And one of the things I'm finding out with lots of men is that they're in very toxic areas. Like somebody doesn't know what to do. You're in a place in your life, in a rut. Like you actually panicked, and now you're no longer living. Life is just pushing you along. So you don't know what to do, Amani. You don't know, okay. So like it's you'll never have enough money. So you have dreams, but you never have enough resources to actually even start on your dreams. And within no time you discover, hey, I'm 40 something, what do I do? Okay? And what happens is, for men, when men panic, then it's always a slippery slope. If a man panics anywhere, then it's downhill all the way. I intentionally would want men to find a place where they can actually talk, because when I sit down with people and I introduce any topic, I can see men struggling to be macho, to be cool, because we've been taught it's cool for us to be solid, you know. So for us, we take solidness as don't show emotion. In fact, I remember very well as when you fell down as a man, the first thing you'll be told is, when is Simba? Usilie. Simba ili. So we grow up knowing that we are Simbas. We can never ever cry. But what do we do? Because we have the emotion. We have the feeling. We are there. You want to cry out, but who do you cry to? I remember during one of those times in my marriage, and I went and told some guy, man of God, I told him, hey, you know what, this and this is happening. The answer he gave me is the typical classical answer everybody gives. He told me, Ted, you know, marriages are like that. Utazoea tu, you know, you just be in there, utazoea tu. But what if I don't want to zoea? Okay, and remember, we are growing in a generation whereby we're sandwiched between the old and the new. The new tells us the woman is emancipated, they can think on their own, they can work all these things, they can do this, they can do that, they don't need us. On the older side, the older guys are telling us, listen, take care of your home. You're the man, take care. Now, you meet a chick who tells you, listen, Ted, I can actually pay all your bills. In fact, I was in a place yesterday, we had lunch with some boys, and this lady on the table says, no, she's building a house. And the table went crazy, and the older guys were like, no, we'll stay in that house. I told her, you know what, I will stay in your house, I don't care, you know, but it's the norm. But what's the problem with that? Now, why do we need safe spaces for men? Because number one, the highest suicide rate in the world is men.
It's men. The most highest successful suicide rate
is men. Right now, there's a very, very big uprising in terms of corporate ladder, where the ladies are higher than the men, and they're more than the men, and they're fighting for their space, and they're being given their space. The man is actually progressing. The man is getting more and more bitter with everything. Now we're seeing a lot of crime against females happening right now. We're having a lot of fighting and abuse, whether it's verbal, whether it's actually physical, and or sexual. We're having a lot of that, and the man is trying to dominate the woman by the things he knows, but unfortunately it comes out as frustration. So anytime that he's not able to communicate well, he'll shout. When he feels he's not able to articulate and the woman to listen to him well, he'll hit her. When he feels that he needs to punish them and show them that he's still the one, they're going to rape and things like that. In fact, I found out that one of the biggest problems that many men who are players have is a dominance issue. And it basically stems from the fact that probably when they were growing up, they did not find themselves to be cute, handsome, or attractive enough. So what they try and do is to dominate by using cash or using position or just trying to push themselves on this other person to dominate them. And inside their heart, they actually make themselves feel happy. I think a whole generation will be lost if we don't talk to the man, if we don't create a good place for the man. Recently, I met a couple of guys who are older than me and were my heroes. And if I looked at the way they were living, and it made me so scared. And I said, you know what? I don't want to reach there. I don't want to reach a place whereby all I can talk about and is how I used to, and then I become so bitter with everybody else.
I've seen it. I've seen a generation, guys maybe 10, 15 years older than me, who looked like they were doing very well when they were my age now. And then now all they have is memories. And they're sort of irrelevant in the news space. And that's a bitter place to be at.
They're irrelevant and they're very bitter.
It's a very bitter place to be at.
In fact, most of them are stuck in between a place of they either have given up on life and on trying, or they're in a place where by now they have to downgrade to live. And that's a place I don't want to be in. Anyway, so the reason we put together this group is I found out that my story was many other people's story. And I started writing a column, and as I wrote, people would write in and tell me, Ted, you know what, I'm going through the very thing, I'm going through the very thing, I'm going through the very, very thing. And we'd hear the same stories, women asking us, oh, where are the real men? You know, I want a real man, I want this, I want that, and everything. And all that has brought us to a place whereby men are now sitting to have honest conversations without feeling very gay, that you're actually opening up yourself
and you're being authentic
and vulnerable, you know, to the whole place. So set up a group called Muscles with a couple of friends, my late brother Big Kev and other people, and we have been able to, we're now about 200 and something people and men, and we walk together and live off each other and do life together, you know. And in between there, okay, of course there are the rotten apples, people come in with their bad behavior and everything, but we've had people who have managed to walk together with other people through very, very, very many processes.
And guys have chomokered from some really dark places because they had muscles to go through them. I have a question for you. 2013 saw a place that you got into government and you started working for Gava, and you got what would many people would consider like a big job, like
a powerful post,
job. That's what it is. Sorry, my wrong words. How has that changed how has that colored? What lens has it given you for your real friendships?
Now, number one is so I write a column every morning. I write a blog every morning, and the title of the book is Grace in the Corridors of Power. The first thing, I must be honest to say that when I first went to work there, I had my own illusions of grandeur, and I thought I knew my problems were over. I'll never ever suffer anymore. I knew, I had my own thoughts. When I got in there, I found it was a totally different place. It's not what I went there thinking. And I want to say, with the avoidance of doubt, is I sit there every day. I've never had people thinking or talking about how they will con Kenyans or deplete our resources and everything. It's always a conversation which is very, very progressive. But one of the things that happened to me,
comforting to hear,
is immediately I got in, is I was actually bankrupt when I got in. And I knew my problems were over. But for me, it's been actually it's been my master's school, where I've earned a master's degree or a PhD in life, because number one, all of a sudden people want to associate with you because of who they think you are, and then all of a sudden conversations around you are very people are very particular about the conversations they have around me. Either they try to aim them in a particular direction. Chicks are more friendlier because they have it's almost like I've rubbed off power, so I'm coming to share it with them.
But you're an illusion of power.
Total. You know. Okay.
Just say it.
So one of the things that I found out is very few people actually will believe or take you as it is. Now, this morning I've just been with some 2 traffic policemen, my friends, just talking to them on the street. And when I told them that, hey, I'm just a normal Kenyan hustling and doing my side things and all that while I serve government, and they're like, there is no way you can actually say that. You're not anybody. You're eating from the top layer. And it's actually something, Amani, which almost took me into depression about 2-3 years ago.
And now a word from our sponsors.
As a dad, the greatest gift I can give my family is security around their health. Do you know how the first time you have a child and all of a sudden there are medical expenses that come up that you never knew existed? Well, Minette has a great cover that caters for your young family. This cover is comprehensive and has features such as inpatient limits of up to 10 million shillings. It will take care of premature births, any complications during, after birth, or for both mom and child. For people who don't like the delivery room like me, this is such a sigh of relief because you know at least the finances are taken care of. It even takes care of you when you accompany your child of up to 10 years to the hospital as a caregiver. And that's just the inpatient cover. Outpatient caters for dental, optical, gynecological, urologists, and mental health services, and is up to 2 to 3 times higher than other covers in the market. I highly recommend Minette Health, and it can be accessed online. They have made this purchasing process easier by creating a portal where any user can access their services directly from the website. To learn more about this cover, visit their Facebook page, Minet Kenya, or their website, collaborationkenya.minet.com. Buy your family a secure health future with Minet. If you would like to sponsor or advertise on our podcast, Living Truthfully, reaching audiences just like you, please contact us on livingtruthfully@thamanimedia.com. That's livingtruthfully@THAMANImedia.com. Thank you, and we're looking forward to partnering with you in adding value to our listeners' lives.
Hey Amani, just thank you for this podcast. I was hooked on Living Truthfully from the episode about Heal the Boy, Make a Man, and I want to say thank you for that, and thank you for providing guidance to young men like me who are filling the gaps that their fathers have left in how they raised them from how they were raised. And for me, having to have found that in other men and sought help and guidance, you have helped me along that journey, and I just want to say thank you. Yeah, thanks sana.
And now, back to our story.
Now, this morning I've just been with some 2 traffic policemen, my friends, just talking to them on the street. And when I told them that, hey, I'm just a normal Kenyan hustling and doing my side things and all that while I serve government, and they're like, there is no way you can actually say that. You're not anybody. You're eating from the top layer. And it's actually something, Amani, which almost took me into depression about 2-3 years ago. The fact or the reality that what people think of me, what I think I should be, and what the general perception is, was too much on me. Because Amani, someone came and told me, oh Ted, sell this car you have, buy this car for 15 million. In my time, I'm like, dude, I've never held 15 million in my hands. But the guy is there, he's telling me, Ted, there is no way. And the guy tells me, Ted, if I was in your place, by now I'll have been. And sometimes it makes you want to run faster than your angel. Or run faster than God's cover on my life. Whereby now I'm running too fast. I'm trying to, in greed and in confusion, because I don't know what's going on. So I'm busy trying to hold on to everything. Someone tells me, if it was me, I would have made 10 roads. So I go and register a company for roads. If it was me, I would have been supplying. I'm going to set a company for. So you end up with like 40 different things you started, but finished none. Amani, I came to terms with a few things. Number one, that if it's for me, God will bring it to pass. All I need to do is be faithful. And Amani, I think that one for me is very, very humbling, because Amani, I sit in meetings where I see guys making millions by suggestions that I've made. But it's not my place to go and try and position myself between the action and the delivery. That's not what it's all about. Now I can, but I won't, because it's not what I am about. So I will not rush Amani and try and get involved with crooked and scrupulous deals and trying to cut all these things here and there. Amani, I've worked so hard for my name. I don't think I want one day my children to Google and what pops up is some crazy stuff. Now, if anybody else can do it, I can't. I'm just not able to sit there and imagine my daughter Googling and it reads that the father amewatapeli wa Kenya, amewatapeli watu, or has done something. I cannot be able to stand it. Already it's as hard as it is right now. So being in government is very, very difficult. And I think anybody in government will need to either have some sort of counseling done on their lives. One, because of what you go in thinking. And you think it's just like a private company. I'll fire everybody who's irrelevant. I'll bring new people and everything. And when you get there, you find there's a system, and you can't just walk over
and it's
people.
A monster. I've heard you describe it like a ship.
It's an octopus actually, where if you cut off one hand, it has 99 others. And if you cut off, you end up cutting the right one. And I remember very well, and I want to actually confess that the first time when we got into government as a group of young people, digital guys, and we had planned to change government and remove all the old people, take them home, bring young people and change. But when you got in there, you discovered that we had the energy and the vigor, but the old guys had the experience of the system. That you cannot remove the old guy because he knows the system. He has historical knowledge of the particular thing that you're dealing with. For example, right now we just had we're having the burial of the second president of the Republic of Kenya. Now, if there's nobody who had historical knowledge and institutional knowledge about state funerals, then the younger guys would just have done something very quickly. In fact, maybe we not have done anything because we would have been like, after all, he's an old guy, let his family just go bury him, we'll give them a tent and chairs and everything. But anything you saw happening was very intricate, it was detailed, and it was meant to communicate a particular thing. You know, one of the things I saw was that the ex-president was brought into State House. It's a first, but it was the highest honor that the current president could bestow on the ex-president. It was such a high honor that it was not there. And if you look at the past, it was not there.
It has never happened before.
It's never happened before. And I understand for young people, and we had to cancel 2 festivals this week, the past week, I think, Buju Banton and the Indirika Festival, which was involved in. And very many people wrote there and they were like, oh, why are we doing this and everything? They couldn't understand what's going on. But you see, it's important for the system to honor the people who have helped set up the system. Now, you might not like him, but trust me, by him being there for 24 years, he gave something unique to the DNA of this country that can only be honored in the way that we're doing it right now as we go on. So for me, being in government has opened my eyes to many things. The other thing it has opened my eyes to is the plight of the people of Kenya. Now, while I don't have the calling or the unction to go into politics, I think I can still go into leadership in terms of being able to sit in meetings whereby we can help or go out of our way to help ordinary Kenyans. One of the areas I'm purposefully pursuing heavily, also with the head of state, is the creative arts sector. And I believe this is the future. You know, any other career in the world has almost reached its peak. And in fact, anything repetitive is actually about to be phased out. In fact, get ready for pilotless aeroplanes. So it means everybody who's flossing here being a pilot will not have anything to do because there'll be a plane which will fly itself. We already have trains which don't have drivers. They're just taking themselves to and fro. You know, we already have banks with no tellers. In fact, now you can bank 24 hours there's no teller. You know, if your uncle 20 years ago was an engineer at EABL, Kenya Breweries Limited, he was flossing in this town, you'd think he's God. But right now, it's automated. We don't need him. So unless he reinvents himself, there's nothing he's able to do. But the creative sector, there'll never ever be a machine that can paint from my mind. Remember, it's an emotion. When you paint, it's an emotion. So the machine has no emotion, so it cannot paint. It's not able to think and put together that thing. It can't design whatever you're designing because you see, you're connecting what you're seeing, what you're feeling, and you write it down. And so as much as artificial intelligence is running and coming up very, very fast, I don't think it will be able to take over the creative sector. Not for a very, very long time.
Not in its increase. The human element of the creative sector will never be... That's a whole... Maybe you should have that conversation on the podcast, because you're right, AI and machine learning are doing some things that are seen as human tasks, and the level of intelligence that they are able to develop does not tap into the essence of humanity. Yeah. And what creativity does is tap into the essence of humanity.
Actually, what the machines won't have is emotional intelligence, because they cannot feel it. What they'll be able to do is only be able to predict, based on what humans have done for 500 times, what the next step would be. But the emotion itself will not be there. And that's why anybody who watched that robot out there shooting and everything, do you watch the video about the robot, which is being taught combat? It can do anything, and it can be shot at. It just simply means we'll send them to war, they'll fight, but there'll be no emotional attachment to it. So it actually almost means that wars will be fought without nobody dying, which means we can start a war anytime.
This concept is too much for me right now.
Yeah. You're hungry.
My brain,
All right.
I've been hanging.
Yeah. So I think for me, government, and I always say that maybe I'm those two spies who were sent into the promised land to go and scout and see the land and see the opportunities there. Now, it doesn't say that those particular guys came back and they became rich afterwards or anything. No, but they were full of knowledge. When they came back, they were able to say what they saw on the other side.
And see it from a perspective that was different from the other 10.
And everybody else talked about the problems. I'm seeing opportunity for very, very many young people to be able to sit and say things like this, things like podcasts being done from your house, from everything. This is actually the future. The future is entertainment on demand. It's basically you being able to sit anywhere and be able to plug into anything. Anything traditional is going to be phased out. Not on 100%, you have to believe. So I think young people, we need to design our future.
I don't know, Ted, what you would tell, and this is a very specific thing to men who are having trouble with vulnerability, people who don't know how to be vulnerable, how to build male friendships. And I'm specific about male friendships because you have both male and female friends, but I know because of our friendship, I know what those moments have been for us that we could never have discussed with a chick. And how I'm very convinced that male friendships are necessary for men, like necessary for the survival of men. But there are men out there who don't have real authentic male friendships. What can you tell a guy who's saying, I want to have this, but I don't know how?
I think the first thing which I try and do, and it's a fight I have every day with myself, is ego. And I'm reading a book right now called My Ego is the Problem. And the topic alone is the day you realize that your ego is the issue that is stopping you from getting a breakthrough and getting help. Amani, the day you decide that I don't care what guys think, that I'm going to focus on making myself a better person. Now, being a better person doesn't mean that your past goes away. In fact, I just spoke at the men's conference on a topic which touched my heart the other day. It says, what do you do when you're done with your past, but your past is not done with you? And for any man, your past will always haunt you. But what I'm trying to do with my life right now is to be so vulnerable and open about my past that my past, when it comes to haunt me, it has nothing on me. And that's one of the things about being vulnerable and having people you're vulnerable to. So that if I tell you I fell, Amani, yet I'm a man of God, then you see it has nothing on me. I can still look at you and talk to you like my pal because I'm vulnerable to you. And I think men need to find those spaces. Men need to be, number one, vulnerable, be able to find people and pockets of people who will not judge them for who they are. But the only thing, Amani, the only way you can be vulnerable, get vulnerable people, is by being vulnerable. Yeah. So you must try and be as honest as possible. I don't want Amani for you to come and tell me, and I don't like people who pose for myself. I love people who are just, and they go like, truthful. You guy, I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm friends with very many men of God who have chosen to be vulnerable with me. And some of the things they tell me, back even me, I'm like, wow. Like, did you have to tell me that? Because now I look at you differently. But even this guy is just a man of God. He's also looking for...
He's just a man, Yani.
He's
a man first, yeah.
To just be also open. And the guy told me, this is the only place where I actually live. Everything else is something else. So men, find spaces, find other men who you can talk to and who you can be able to relate to. Regardless of their age, regardless of their profession and their position, everybody's looking for somebody. Everybody needs that place that they can be able to go and feel.
And thank you for being that place for me, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a safe space,
yeah.
Even though you judge me all the time.
Yeah, but you give me a reason to judge you, Amani. Like, for example, Amani, what are you going to apply oil on your legs or what?
So as we end this podcast, I this is such an abusive relationship.
But Amani, let me ask you a question.
Ask me.
Okay. What do you think is you had you hosted something yesterday? I'll lend you my book called My Ego is a Problem.
Thanks.
And one of the things that this guy wrote there, which was so profound, was in terms of us, the way we tell our story. That ego is such a big problem for us that even the stories we tell are meant to bring out a certain
the best side of our worst side,
depending on what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
So if I won't tell guys I'm a bad guy, I'll only tell you about my bad side. I will never talk inside there about how I got saved 10 times and I'm trying to love God and I'm trying to do this or I'm doing that. I'll always try to bring out the things that only sell my story. You know?
Wow.
And for me, that broke me, because I was like, wow, even in my walk and me being authentic, can it be that maybe I'm trying to be authentic so that I can be an example of authenticity while I'm not really authentic? You know? So I'm learning to actually question everything that I'm doing, every move that I'm making, you know, so that you are aware of what you're doing. Otherwise, you'll just be cruising on a wave, but you'll never be aware of what you're doing. Yeah. And for many men, I think, when I sit with guys who I want to be cool, then I'll only position my cool side. If I go to them town, I'm talking about to the bad guys, I'll only talk about how life is hard. If I'm with the guys I want to show that I'm a smooth guy, I'll tell them about only how I've done this with chicks. I won't say a chick broke my heart 10 times, or she left me, or she did this or she did that and everything, or I have this kind of desires. In fact, let me break it down for you. At the men's conference, one of the things I did, there were about 600 men there, and I asked everybody to write down on a piece of paper 10 things they'd want God to do for them. You're very shocked. Number 1, money. 2, relationships, women. 3, sex. In that order.
They want to have more sex. They want to have sex.
They want to have more money. Okay. The issue of women and sex is basically because, very many males equate their achievement,
manhood,
around women. And we don't know many times how to communicate to the woman. Now, this is to all the ladies listening to us today. Number 1, the reason why when a man buys you a drink and you disappear in the club, he gets pissed. The reason why there was an issue and you heard that this guy abused this lady in Naivasha, the reasons he gave were all based on money. Anytime a man has a problem with a woman, he will tell you, I bought for her a car. I bought for her drinks. I bought for her this. I gave her this. I paid her rent. In fact, see, I'm the one who 1, 2, 3. Because men equate their giving, the highest level of giving is cash or material, whatever they have worked hard for. But you see, for a woman it's different. A woman is emotional. A woman is, I gave you my body. That time the man is wondering, How is that something?
How can you equate?
How can you even equate it with what I've given you?
Sorry, let me put that into perspective, because I think I can't remember when, but many years ago we were having this conversation with you, and you equated and you put words for me into something I didn't know how to explain. That I put work into earning money, so it's blood. It's my time, it's my blood, it's my sweat that is earning this cash. And so, when I give you cash, I'm not giving you money. I'm giving you my blood.
Equity.
I'm giving my blood, I'm giving you my sweat.
Yeah.
So when you dharau that thing that I've given you, it's not money. It's blood. It's like I cut myself and I gave you something from my veins.
Amani, a guy buys a chick a drink in the club. The chick disappears. It is such a big issue. Right now, there's the big issue of kukula fare. And the reason the man is so hurt is because he's given you something. It's not the act which comes after it is a value add, but the fact that he has given you is the biggest issue. Okay, and now you need to understand why very, very many men disconnected And that's where the sponsor mentality isn't going to leave us anytime soon. Because both people have discovered that this is actually the direction.
It's become transactional.
I can actually give you my body without giving you an emotion. And I can actually give you money, which you want.
Without it having the emotional attachment of the value that it really is for me. Yeah.
And I asked somebody the other day, how come whenever guys break up, the people want their things back? You know, part of it is you feel like it's like shares. Yeah, bring back my shares.
So I want my equity back.
Yes, bring back my equity. I've worked hard for it. You know,
that's funny, man.
Yeah. So I think, I think in conclusion, safe spaces for men, for women, for children, and everybody. It's so important. It's important for us to talk. The world is changing. You see, in the past, the reason your parents could not speak to you about some things, it was left for the uncles to talk to you in the village. But now we're living in Tao, whereby we don't have that kind of setup. And if you don't tell somebody the truth, somebody will tell them a lie. And the truth is very simple, that regardless of which man you are, you definitely need a safe space to be able to just go and just breathe in. I told guys, it's almost like the feeling men get. Women remove their bras at the door and remove their wigs. But for us as men, it's just when we just sit in the house with our boxers, our torn boxers. We've had them for 6 years. And we just sit there. There might be no electricity. It might be in a bed sitter, just on a mattress. But believe for us, that moment is heaven.
That's true.
And that moment, sitting with another guy in their boxers and just being, not trying to juxtapose and show yourself and everything. I think for a man, that's everything.
That's true.
Yeah.
And thank you for being the other guy in torn boxers for me.
Thank you.
You know, and to be honest, I think our friendship has epitomized honesty. I think we've been vulnerable with each other. I've seen you cry. You've seen me cry. I've seen you do other things, but let's talk about crying. No, don't. See you next week. But we've also seen ourselves grow. You know, grow from like just starting out and trying out different things to a place that God has brought us, where we're living out our purpose. And I want to say I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you, sir.
I'm proud of the integrity that you've held in your office.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of the person that you've become, despite the troubles that have gotten us here.
And the temptations,
And I can't wait to see what God does with you.
Yeah.
And I hope that I'm there to witness what God does with you.
Yeah. I must say, Amani, that's actually, you just placed it very, very well. And I keep on waking up every morning and asking God, like I'm like a kid who's been told, we're going to buy you a bike every day. So every day I run downstairs to see if the bike is there. Like, I can't wait to see what his plan is. Like, I always ask him, like, okay, what is your grand plan? Like, you take care of me every day. I mean, I don't sleep hungry every day. I don't lack every day. The day I think that I've reached the end of the rope, you provide a way out. So I always ask him, like God, really, really, like, what is your plan? You know, like, what exactly is happening? You know, and I can't just wait to see what this whole rehearsal has been for. You know, like, what is his end game? You know, with this thing. And Amani, one of the things I'll finish with saying is, I now don't subscribe to the words of the song by a singer who said that if I can see it, then I can believe it, because the Bible says that you shall live by faith, not by sight. So it's the other way around, that if I can believe it, then I can see it. And right now I'm building my belief around certain things, you know. I'm looking at my 10-year plan. Okay, so what do I want in 10 years? What kind of life do I want to live? What quality of life do I want to live? What's the next thing? I'm looking around myself and saying, okay, what are the opportunities around me that I can take? What are the relationships I want to build? What are the ones I want to drop? Like, I don't want to have them in my life anymore. What are the habits I want to take to my next level? One of the habits, Amani, I'm cultivating is sleeping. Amani, I don't care. I don't have to watch 50 movies. I don't have to do anything. Amani, immediately I feel like sleeping, I sleep. I go home at 8 or at 7, I get into bed and I sleep. Why, Amani? Because many times I'm out there fighting sleep to prove to other people that we're having a good time, but I'm dying. You know, I wake up in the morning, I'm fresher, I'm everything, I'm all that. I'm learning how to put my thoughts on paper and just writing them down and saying, okay, this is how to do. I'm learning how to put pressure on myself. I've discovered life is like a gym. The heavier you lift, the more muscles you have. The lighter you lift, you just have cuts. So you'll be a guy who is, you don't have pressure in life because whatever you're earning can pay everything. But you see, you'll never grow past that. You'll never be able to lift a heavy one. I'm learning also, Money, that at the end of the day, I am 100% responsible for my life. No, Amani, my parents have lived theirs. Moi is gone. He's lived his life, done. His kids, grandchildren, or anybody, there is nothing they can do. It's now up to them to live their lives. So Amani, I'm learning to make my decisions and stand by them. It might be a stupid decision, but it's my decision. At the end of the day, I look back and say, you know what? I lived this thing, I applied it, and everything. And finally, I'm learning to love God. Just to be in a space whereby I have questions, I have issues which I want, and I'm thinking, oh God, but I'm just learning to love God for me. So the God who I love and I serve now is my God. It's not a church God, a sect God, or my Pero's God. No, it's just me. Me and my God, we know each other well. I tell him all my issues. Sometimes I don't even need to lift a finger or even speak. I can just keep quiet. And I go like, he knows what I'm going through. You know? So, yeah, thank you for having me here.
I have nothing to add. See you next week.